everybody and welcome back to the funniest tweets. Today we are talking about the Monaco Grand Prix, which, if you hadn't seen, I was actually so lucky to be out there and experience it along with Tommy as well. There was lots on our social. And I want to apologise for the slightly late upload to this episode. I know it is part of a lot of people's F1 weekend, so we want to get out as quickly as we can. So I apologise for that. It genuinely hurt me to not bring it out till Tuesday, but we are here. We're going to go through some funny tweets from the Monaco Grand Prix, which turned out to actually be a rather exciting race. So let's get into it, shall we? What other segment could I possibly start funniest tweets with than talking about the rain? Hello, rain. It came out of nowhere. Myself and Tommy, we were looking to the clouds constantly, and it didn't really look like it was going to rain, not at least as much as it did. Now let's start with the first tweet, at smoothop41016, the moment it rains in Monaco. So as I said, I didn't genuinely think it was going to rain that much, not that I'm any kind of meteorologist or expert in judging clouds, but it just looked overcast. And then all of a sudden, that moment of, oh, there's a few spots of rain. And then all of a sudden, that middle sector just became carnage. At Lally DF8, God throwing rain on the track to make this race interesting. Before the rain came down, it was Monaco, wasn't it? Hey, procession. There was still a slight intrigue as to how the Verstappen-Alonso duel would play out. Oh, well, not because it was a 50-50 of who was going to win, but it was more like, how far can Max genuinely take those mediums before Alonso takes the lead and then prays for a red flag or some kind of safety car to help his race? It didn't happen, but the rain came down and it all just kicked off, didn't it? At Cybercoder NAJ, rain in Monaco be like, I'm an agent of chaos. Now, I was going to say that Monaco relies on rain and things to be a bit crazy in terms of the weather, but we have had pretty decent, tense Monaco Grand Prix in recent years. You had Vettel fighting off, I think, 3 other cars behind quite a few years ago and then got very lucky with the red flag, or you had Daniel Ricciardo having his ERS issue, and yeah, we don't have 100,000 overtakes, but we have a Monaco kind of level of excitement. And I genuinely will say that actually going and experiencing it and being so unbelievably lucky that I had to pinch myself every single day whilst I was there, it did give me a much bigger appreciation of how much the drivers have to do and how much they have to concentrate and how confident they have to be with their car in order to extract the most around the most ridiculous track in the world. At Unboxified, Matt and Tommy celebrating how their presence in Monaco manifested rain. I don't know if we can take full credit for the rain, although there were some rain dances, some thoughts about potentially summoning some precipitation, and it came down, and I cannot tell you the elation. Tommy was actually somewhere else, and I was like, oh, where's Tommy? I need to experience this with him. But then he came back, and it was, carnage. But I am so surprised. As much as I say it was carnage, not a lot actually changed in terms of obviously the front view. There wasn't, Russell, I guess, made that mistake where he lost P3, but generally it wasn't as chaotic as you'd maybe expect dry tyres on a soaking middle sector would have produced. No safety car. How? And the final one on rain is a Mary Ho? Drops of rain. I actually have never seen this GIF before, so I thought I'd include it, because I think a lot of people sat up, took notice that the Monaco Grand Prix was about to get lit. Stroll PEREZ disaster. Now there has to be a segment on Lance Stroll and Sergio Perez's race. Oh my God, could they have had a worse weekend if they tried? Those two were just playing bumper cars. First tweet is from Willow Cookie. Immediately Perez. Now, I don't usually include qualifying ones, but I found this really, really good. So this AWS graphic, I quite liked the information that it showed, like, 12 centimetres away from the wall, 8 centimetres. The bit that I was like, are we dumbing this down a little bit too much, was the bit that said too close to the wall. I think most people, if not all, know what a centimetre is. So it's just so funny. They're obviously trying to make it very easy to just digest and be like, AWS says it's close to the wall, so I believe it. But I did find it funny, and this is a great meme. At Breezy Ain't Easy, Red Bull mechanics after Perez pits for the 5th time this race. Oh, Perez, 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 Perez. You know, he wasn't far away in the championship coming into Monaco as the street king and all of that good stuff. You know, take that with a pinch of salt. Obviously, he has won a lot around street circuits and clearly has a good feel around them. But my God, did he not have a good feel around this weekend? Crashes in qualifying, had many mistakes in the race, almost pits, I think, was it 5? Yeah, 5 times. A race to forget for Sergio. At Akshay Khond, Perez's championship hopes. Yeah, I guess especially when you look back to last year and how he won the race and you think, oh, no, Perez had a difficult Miami, sure, but he can bounce back in Monaco, then maybe lead into Spain. And I guess us maybe using a bit of hopium to have a championship fight this year was hoping that Perez would continue with some sort of consistent form, but you have to wonder whether, you know, with Miami and not being able to win from Verstappen having a low grid position and then into Monaco and making that mistake, he needs to bounce back quick, but it's hard to see how he will. Oh, another one from @CyberCoderNAJ. I've just realised, I apologise for those that want to be involved in this series. I genuinely try and include one from each person. When you see 2 Red Bulls together, but it's not a 1-2. So this happened not once, but twice. Perez got lapped twice. Now, I don't think he genuinely would have been lapped twice had Red Bull not made him a guinea pig for the wet tyres at the end of the race, but it is quite the statistic when you look at the classification at the end of the race for Perez to have been lapped twice. But yeah, I mean, look, maybe it was refreshing to not see a Red Bull 1-2 and, you know, Alonso running in second. That was pretty awesome. But yeah, a little bit shocking to have seen that amount of gap between the 2 drivers. Now moving to Lance Stroll. I don't know if he had a worse or better race than Sergio Perez. I think it was probably similar. At Dr_Dilf Pickle. Lance Stroll on board. No, I think he had a worse race. I don't know. Who had more contact? It's debatable. Actually, it's a handful for both drivers. But Lance just was squeezed on lap 1 into the wall because he tried to go around the outside of the hairpin, and then he had that crash again at the hairpin. And it honestly was like he was driving on the F1 game and thought he had no damage. At JamieP_comedy, Stroll with half the grid right now. It was genuinely pinball. Lance Stroll was testing the durability of that Aston Martin to the absolute nth degree. And to be fair, it survived quite a lot. The one that got me was on lap 1, I think it was, into the hairpin, got squeezed into the wall, and was like, no, I don't think I've got enough damage. Let me send it up the inside of the next corner, which is not an overtaking position in any world. And he just stuck the nose up the inside, didn't he, and lost more of his front wing. OCON Masterclass. We now move to something more positive. SD Bestie, of course, this is the reason why I'm wearing the Alpine top with the sign from the man himself, Esteban Ocon, P3. Amazing qualifying, amazing race, and let's reflect on some tweets about him. At turn to page 394. Honestly, great race by Ocon on the Alpine team. There's no disrespect. This genuinely was quite hilarious to watch. Some people found it cringe. I found it very like, oh, it's SD Bestie. He's just being a bit different. I guess the Monaco Grand Prix podium is one of the more serious ones. And I saw a TikTok of the amount of things that Esteban did, which could be seen as awkward or cringy. And it was quite a lot. Obviously, down the mic, SD Bestie's on the podium, baby. I enjoyed it. Some people didn't. It's just the way of the world works. Then on the podium, he almost slipped over. I think he did an awkward handshake to one of the people on the podium, and just in general, had a great time. I loved it. Did you? At MonaBV7, yes, Ocon, this meme template was absolutely the most accurate representation of what went down. He picked up that trophy and got off that 3rd step of the podium and properly celebrated like it was a victory. And this man is a race winner. He knows what it's like to win at the Hungarian Grand Prix. But a Monaco podium is incredibly special, and I couldn't be more happy for him. He drove so well. He fought off Sainz despite getting a little love tap from behind at the sort of early stages of the race, and then had to fight again when that wet weather came down. Sainz was very aggressive, to say the least, but he held on, kept his nerve, and got a bit of silverware for it. At ML Carabs, Ocon saying SD Bestie on the post-race interview. I love that this man has embraced the F1 Twitter nickname that has been graced upon him. Like, this guy could have just shrugged it off, but no, he went straight down the microphone and said SD Bestie is on the podium. I love it. He's relatable. He's a younger driver. He's just a bit of fun. And look, got the Alpine top on, so how could I be anything other than positive for him? Honourable mentions. Okay, we now go to the other memes part of the show and just things that don't particularly fit into a certain segment, but just going to include them anyway. At Crystal Horner, the world if Alonso went to inters instead of mediums. Oh, I am still convinced, if you've watched the podcast, which we put out earlier than this episode, that he would have won. He would have won that race if he stuck intermediates on. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what data people put in front of me. Alonso would have won that race on the intermediate tyres, but instead they gambled, went on the mediums, which I can still understand, because if it was a little flash in the pan, little slippery track, you stick a fresh set of hot mediums on, you're going to be rapid, compared to Verstappen's 55-lap-old mediums, or whatever it was at the time, and slipping around everywhere. It wasn't the right decision. I can see why it was a gamble and it was a valid strategy option, but I would have stuck the inters on. And that's obviously with the benefit of hindsight and the reason why I'm also not a strategy engineer. At FM13316, both Charles and Carlos got jumped by the Mercedes cars because of their own team's double stack. I'm an Alpine fan now, so doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If I'm wearing another team's merchandise, they can't hurt me. But there was a small part of me that was like, Charles Leclerc could get pole and win the race. Didn't happen. It was a reasonable disaster, I would say. 6th and 8th around Monaco, where Ferrari were predicted to be quite quick. They weren't as quick as we all hoped, or I say we, the Tifosi. And yes, pit stops at Monaco as a Ferrari driver just don't go well. At Matt Brown 1507, POV Yuki after the race. The poor guy. I love how on the radio they're just like, Yuki, I think you're losing a bit of time in the brakes, so if you could just... It sounded like just brake later, could you? But Yuki obviously felt something in the car that was not right, and it seems as though he was correct because he lost all pace, he made a mistake, and we actually were based at the Red Bull Energy Station this weekend, so we saw the drivers come in and out, and we saw Yuki after the race, and he looked so just down in the dumps because it looked as though he was going to pick up maybe a point or two. Then it looked like he was going to finish 11th again for the 50th time this year. But yeah, he was down in the dumps. At Real Yardy F1, Ferrari pit crew after walking out into the pit lane expecting Sainz to pit. I love this meme. It's great. It really is. And they were throwing some dummies, weren't they? Oh, come into the pits now. Oh, we've changed our mind, which is technically against the rules, but it seems like no team ever gets penalised for a dummy pit stop. And yeah, it was just a mistake. I promise, FIA. At JohnTeat_corner, Gunter seeing Sainz not get an instant meatball flag. I guess, yeah, the end plate did come off quite quickly, but then Magnussen's black and white meatball flags, not black and white, black and orange, that's the one, meatball flags from the past seemed rather harsh as well. So I would love to have heard what Gunter said. You can tell I'm a little bit tired after Monaco. What Gunter said in those sort of 5 minutes of when Sainz had his wobbly front wing. I think that needs to be featured on Drive to Survive. Right, we've now got Tommy on the line. Tommy's Tasty Tweet is the favourite part of the show for everyone. So Tommy, I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad that you spent some time with us. Of course, you know, you're a Monaco guy these days. So, you know, I can see you're already a little bit like, why do I have to be here for free? So,
I know. Where's the bait?
Right, what tweet have you gone for today, sir?
I have gone for salty. And they've gone with Perez almost collecting all, only missed softs. I wish he'd gone for the soft tyres at the end. It was drying a little bit, and he would have collected them all. How good are that?
That's actually crazy, isn't it? That's absolute madness that Perez nearly used every single tyre, which I don't think's ever happened before, surely.
I don't think it has. Sure. I mean, if you're going to finish 20th, have one of the worst races ever, at least get an F1 record while you're there.
Exactly. You may as well be Ash Ketchum, whoever his name is, and catch them all Pokemon style. Cool. Thank you so much, Tommy. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, that is it. Thank you so much for watching the funniest tweets to the Monaco Grand Prix. Apologies on the content being slightly more delayed than usual, but we're back as normal for the Spanish Grand Prix. We're going to be live on Twitch. We're going to be doing all the content on YouTube and on our podcast as well. So look forward to that. Thank you so much for all of the amazing messages you sent us over the weekend on our personal Instagrams, Matty P1 and Tommy P1. It honestly was overwhelming. I did some soppy posts on there. Of course, posted a lot of the stuff from the Monaco Grand Prix as well. And yeah, I'm still processing what happened. We might do a little Twitch stream as well in the next day or so, just to have a chat with all of you. If you want to drop by and find out what happened in Monaco, we'd love to do that. And yeah, we'll be back for more content over the course of the week, and of course into the Spanish Grand Prix. Hopefully it's going to be a banger with the chicane gone, and we'll see you very, very soon for the next episode of Funniest Tweets. Hashtag P1 if you want to get involved, and we'll see you soon. Bye.